How do you find the slope of a linear function when you know 2 points? If you know the coordinates of 2 points, x1, y1, and x2, y2, you can calculate the slope by figuring out the change in y coordinates between the 2 points and dividing it by the change in x coordinates between those points. The formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Before you learn how the formula works, let's look at how you can find the slope m graphically by reading values off the graph. Look at this graph. To find the slope m, you must find the change in the y direction, known as the rise, and the change in the x direction, known as the run. When you know these values, you can calculate rise over run to find m. You can start at any point on the graph because in a linear function, the slope is the same everywhere. But your calculations become easier if you choose your points wisely. In this case, it would be smart to choose the points 0, 3 and 1, 5 and mark those points on the line. Now, draw a horizontal line from the first point out to the right. Then, draw a vertical line downwards from the second point towards the rightward line you just drew. The two lines will now intersect at the point 1, 3. This distance between x equals 0 and x equals 1 is the change in x, also called the run. The distance between y equals 3 and y equals 5 is the change in y, also called the rise. This distance is equal to 2. By dividing the rise by the run, you find the slope m. 2 divided by 1 is 2. That means that when the x value increases by 1, the y value increases by 2. You have now found that the slope is 2. Now let's look at how you can use the formula to determine m. Say you know 2 points on a graph. Can you find the slope m of that graph? Yes, you can, using the formula. The slope m equals y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Recall that the change in y coordinates is called the rise, and the change in x coordinates is called the run. Knowing these values gives you the rise over the run. A common notation in mathematics used to indicate change is the delta symbol. This change in y can also be denoted by delta y, and the change in x by delta x. So, the rise over the run is equivalent to delta y divided by delta x. That also means that delta y equals y2 minus y1, and delta x equals x2 minus x1, which is our formula. Nice! Now let's look at an example where the slope m is positive. You have 2 points, A at 3, 2 and B at 5, 3, which are both on the graph of a linear function. If the coordinates for A are used as x1, y1, and those for B are used for x2, y2, then you'd insert the coordinates like this. y2 equals 3, and y1 equals 2. x2 equals 5, and x1 equals 3. Now you are ready to do the calculations. The rise comes to 3 minus 2, which is 1. And the run is 5 minus 3, which equals 2. 1 divided by 2 is the same as 1/2. You have now found the slope m, which is 1/2. That means that when the x value increases by 1, the y value increases by 1/2. Now let's swap places between the two sets of coordinates. Notice that you still get the same result for the slope m, since -1 divided by -2 is also equal to 1/2. Now let's check out an example where the slope m is negative. You have 2 points, a at -1, 5, and b at 1, -1, both of which are on the graph of a linear function. Let's bring back the formula. M equals the delta y, y2 minus y1, divided by the delta x, x2 minus x1. If the coordinates for A are the ones used for x1, y1, and the coordinates for B are inserted for x2, y2, then the coordinates in the formula will be as follows. y2 equals -1 and y1 equals 5, while x2 equals 1 and x1 equals -1. Now you are ready to do the calculations. Delta y is -1 minus 5, which is -6. And delta x is 1 minus -1, which is 1 plus 1, equal to 2. -6 divided by 2 is -3. You have now found the slope m, which is -3. That means that when the x value increases by 1, the y value decreases by 3. Notice that you get the same slope m if you select point B and point A for the formula, respectively, since 6 divided by -2 is also equal to -3. When you know 2 points, x1, y1 and x2, y2, you can find the slope m of a linear function by taking the change in y coordinates and dividing it by the change in x coordinates. The formula is m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, which can also be written as rise over run or delta y over delta x.